The person I'm thinking about treated me this way because they said, and I quote, I stole the male attention away from them. We feel like, Lord, this this new job has really been on my heart, Lord. I would appreciate it if you could make it happen. Lord, I really want this new car. Lord, I really want to be blessed in my finances. Lord, I just want this new apartment. Lord, could you make it happen? Make it a priority, Lord, in Jesus' name. So there would be times when I'm fasting and I'm in prayer and I have a list of things that I am believing for. And I would be praying and asking God, God, I know you can, I know this is but a small thing for you. I know you can make this happen, Lord. Move on my behalf. And it's like he would completely ignore me and be like, by the way, did you know you had pride in your heart? By the way, did you know you haven't healed from this situation? By the way, did you know that this was actually the reason that you're struggling to be disciplined in the things that I called you to do? I know you've probably seen a million motivational videos and self-improvement videos and glow-up videos and all of that types of stuff. I know you've probably seen a lot of them by now, right? And it's cute, right? It's cute. I applaud your effort. I applaud your intent. But as somebody who has watched about a million of them and who has also created a lot of them myself, I am going to tell you that there is actually one single-handed method that has truly brought more transformation to my life and becoming the best version of myself and being the best version of myself and genuinely changing my character better than any motivational video that I have ever watched. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why you should prioritize that as your main way of improving yourself and being the best version of yourself. But first, hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Sensi, and I renamed the podcast again to Glowing Up with God, okay? I didn't make a big deal about it this time, but I changed the name again, okay? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So as somebody who has made countless videos on self-improvement, the thing about that is I was improving my life based on my personal diagnoses, right? I was deciding what was wrong with myself based on things that I could see and then seeking out like motivational videos and self-help books and different things like that. And it worked, right? Some of it worked. Some of it was cute, but some of it honestly offered patches versus real solutions. And in hindsight, over the past, I would say 4 years, the journey of me having a podcast, I can tell you the last few months have made the most significant difference in my life. I've had the biggest transformation in the last few months of my life, more than any of the effort that I've put in the beginning for like the 3 years prior. And really it has been because I made God in charge of my self-improvement and my personal growth plan. So today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should do the same and how it will benefit you. Okay. And again, keep in mind, this is from somebody who used to be atheist. And I don't say this to my shame and my condemnation. I say this as somebody who was heavily relying on logic and external sources and self-help books and all of these things. And also being very introspective and, always committed to personal development and personal growth and listening to motivational videos every day for like a year when I was in my commute to work and all of these types of things, right? Somebody who has been committed to self-improvement, I can tell you the most change that I have made, the single most important, the thing that I did that caused exponential growth in my character, and it has exceeded any effort that I've made on my own in the years prior. And that is putting God in charge of my self-improvement. And to do that, I had to humble myself before him and not just go to him with a list of things that I thought needed fixing or go to him with my list of priorities and have him work on it based on, what I needed and what I thought was best. I had to go to him and ask, reveal to me if there's anything in my heart that needs fixing, that needs working out. Create a clean heart in me. And when I tell you, he emptied out that thing, and like the amount of garbage that I saw, I was like, hold on, are you sure this is my heart? These things were inside of me? I beg your pardon? So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons, and I will go in depth on some of the things that I found and how it really unfolded in my life. Okay. The very first reason why you should essentially let God help you become the best version of yourself versus trying to take matters into your own hands is God created you and He has a purpose for you. He has a plan for your life. And you probably don't know the entire picture, right? You maybe know some parts of it, you may have some snippets, or maybe you have some desires that you believe came from Him, but you likely don't have the full picture, right? Because that's just not how God operates. He knows that, He has to give us glimpses of our future when we are ready for it, because if He tells us too soon, when we're not developed to the point where we feel brave and bold enough to pursue these things, He knows we'll run away. Okay, God knows what He has created you for. He knows what He called you for. Therefore, He knows how you need to be molded and shaped and pruned in order to become the person He needs you to be, to do the thing that He's calling you to do. That's just the number one thing. That's like the foundation. So I had to get that out of the way. Now let's get into the tea. Right? The second reason, which is what I kind of alluded to earlier, is God knows what's really in your heart even when you don't. Right? He knows all of those emotions and situations and feelings that are lying dormant because of certain circumstances or things that you may have experienced that is causing you to be the way that you are, that's not beneficial to where He's calling you or the things that you're trying to do. Let me give you an example. We, and by we, I mean me at one point too, we self-diagnose ourselves and the problems we think that are wrong with us based on what we can actually see, right? So for example, when I realized that I had an issue communicating my feelings in situations with people in different types of relationship, like in general, with like everybody, right? When I realized that was an issue, to me, that was just obvious. So I need to work on communication, right? That was the diagnosis. You have communication issues. So now I need to figure out how to express myself more and, figure out how to navigate all of that. That's an example of how I would approach that, or how I actually approach that, right? But the way God approaches it is God sees what is in your heart. He sees the reason why you have communication issues. So when you surrender that to Him, He goes after the cause. He goes after the root, and He will remove that, and better communication will be the result. He knows what is truly in your heart, and He is going to create a tailored plan for you based on what you need and what He needs from you to do the things that He created you to do. So it's that tailored experience that's the real bonus, because sometimes you see people online talking about their revelations and experiences with God and all of that stuff, and you see how God moves in their life and how He talks to them, blah blah blah. But you have to understand that sometimes the reason why you haven't experienced those specific things is because that's not what you need. That's what they needed, right? God knew who they were, how they would respond, and the type of person and personality they have. So He responded to them in that way because that's what they needed. He's going to respond to you in a different way because you are different. He's going to respond to you in a tailored way, right? When God first approached me, because of how I was at that point in time when I was atheist, He had to approach me with love. He had to approach me in a way that I did not expect, because I saw Him as a terrible God, if I'm being honest, because I was looking at the circumstances of my life and I was like, there's no way there could be a God who loves me. And this is what my life looks like, right? Amongst other things and other reasons. So when He approached me, when He came back for me, right? When He came and grabbed me, He approached me with love, but it wasn't like physical signs. It was an overwhelming feeling that I cannot explain. And that's the thing too. If you've ever interacted with somebody who is atheist, like myself, it's like their eyes are open, but they cannot see. Their ears are open, but but it's like they're deaf. They have blinders on, and they refuse to accept the truth, right? Speaking from experience as well. And so I was very argumentative and logical and was trying to prove this and prove that based on what I thought was possible. But the ways God came back for me, the ways God left the 99 and came back for this one, He came back through encounters. He didn't come back through logic. He came back through encounters. He gave me experiences that I could not explain, feelings that I could not explain, right? Because I was so logical, and God is not logical. We cannot logically explain God because He is like sovereign. He's over everything, right? His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So we cannot logically explain it. And because I was such a logical person back then, He came back through me through encounters that I could not explain. I could not justify it. I could not know. I could not possibly fathom. I could not have an explanation other than this has to be God, right? He came back for me that way because that's how I was. He probably came back for you or probably interacts with you in different ways because that's not your testimony, right? He will create a tailored plan for you based on what you need. So if you are trying to be the best version of yourself, if you are trying to be everything that God has called you to be and do the things that He has called you to do, you have to surrender that personal growth plan to Him, because He is going to look into your heart, search your heart, and find all of the things that are holding you back. And He is going to give you a tailored plan to overcome that. And He is going to go for the root cause, okay, that no motivational video or podcast, not even mine, can help you with. That's why I don't necessarily tell y'all the how-tos. I tell y'all who to go to and how He helped me, right? But He might come to you in a different way. My whole point, everything that I do is to help you create a genuine relationship with God so He can work in your life in a tailored and specific way based on who He called you to be and what you need. Before we get any further, if you are a baby Christian or a lukewarm Christian or a lukewarmer Christian, okay, we get in there, or a surrendered Christian, any type of Christian, even if you're an aspiring Christian or a non-believer, a curious non-believer, and you want to develop a genuine relationship with God where your life is actually transformed by your faith, then sign up for my 12-week Glowing Up with God challenge. Basically what it is a 12-week challenge where I will send you an email every week that is going to help you develop a relationship with God, your own relationship with God. It's going to teach you different biblical principles and how to apply them in your life so that you can actually change your life and your character, etc. If you want to be a part of that type of Christianity, not the toxic religious type, then go to www.glowingupwithgod.com/challenge and I will send you an email every week to help you do just that. Now back to the episode. The third reason is God has your best interests at heart. Sometimes we feel like our interests should be God's priority, right? We feel like, Lord, this new job has really been on my heart, Lord. I would appreciate it if you could make it happen. Lord, I really want this new car. Lord, I really want to be blessed in my finances. Lord, I just want this new apartment, right? We feel like we look at the physical things and we say, okay, well, I need an upgrade in this area of my life. Lord, could you make it happen? Make it a priority, Lord, in Jesus' name. Sometimes we go to God like that, with our interests at the top of mind. But God has our best interests at heart always, even when we cannot see it, even when we're not aware of it. Like I remember some time ago when I was believing God for a new apartment and I'm just like, Lord, right? And I was fasting. Now spare me, okay? That was in my earlier days with fasting, where I was under the impression that you could fast for things, okay? I'm a different person now. I fast to seek God's face and to seek His will, and I surrender my will. I don't necessarily go with things in mind. I just go to hear His voice, okay? But back then, I was fasting, and one of the things that I was believing for was a new apartment. And the reason why I, became more mature in my view of fasting is actually through doing it the wrong way and God completely ignoring me and doing His will anyway during my fast. And I realized, oh, I'm looking at this the wrong way, right? because I would always fast, and I would definitely like seek his face and stuff. But sometimes when I pray, I would pray for the things that I was believing for, and I would go to God, spend intentional time with God and everything, and ask and pray for certain things, and then he would just reveal the most random things to me, things that were in my heart that I needed to work on, issues, right? Out of the blue. Like, remember when I told y'all that episode of me crying in the park in my car when he revealed, the whole pride and all of that? That I didn't go there for that. Okay, I had something else on my mind, and that's what he brought to my attention. Okay, so there would be times when I'm fasting and I'm in prayer and I have a list of things that I am believing for, and I would be praying and asking God, God, I know you can, I know this is but a small thing for you. I know you can make this happen, Lord. Move on my behalf in Jesus' name, right? And it's like he would completely ignore me and be like, by the way, did you know you had pride in your heart? By the way, did you know you haven't healed from this situation? By the way, did you know that this was actually the reason that you're struggling to be disciplined in the things that I called you to do? And I'm like, I beg your pardon? What are you talking? Like, are you going to give me the thing that I prayed for? Like, I'm just checking. I'll work on these things that are you going to give me the thing? He would completely ignore me and actually tell me all the things that I needed to work on. He would reveal the true nature of my heart because he always had my best interests at heart. He saw what I needed to work on. He saw when it would affect me. He saw how it was affecting my relationships. And so he would bring it to my attention and help me get back to the root cause and help me forgive who I needed to forgive, help me grieve over what I needed to grieve over, and help me move past like root issues. And then all of a sudden, some of these areas in my life where I just wasn't showing up the best, like in communication, for example, that just naturally got better because God was attacking all of the root issues, right? So he has our best interests at heart. We think we know what's best for us. A lot of times that can be disguised by our physical needs or our emotional needs. But God knows the end from the beginning. He knows what's in your heart. He has your best interest at heart. He knows what he called you to do. So what I've realized is that if you just surrender and go to him, like if you just listen, if you just take some time and you just, remove all distractions and you just sit in his presence and you say, okay, God, show me the true nature of my heart. Reveal to me anything that is preventing me from being the best version of myself, that is affecting my relationships. Show me the true nature of my heart and any areas of my life that I need to work on right now. Prepare to be humbled. Prepare to be humbled, okay? Because I definitely was humbled. You would be surprised if you just take a couple of minutes and you say that prayer and you go to him with no distractions and you leave room for him to respond in whatever way that he chooses to, because it will be different for everybody. Okay, how he might talk to me might not be how he talks to you. He knows what you need. He will meet you where you are. You'll be surprised if you just say, God, show me the true nature of my heart. Show me like what is in the best interest for me right now. Because he has your best interest at heart, he will reveal what needs to be worked on, or he will reveal maybe something that you need to do. But all of that will happen because he knows you and he knows the plan he has for you. When you surrender your will, when you stop going to God with a long list of things that you want and you just go to him to seek his face and hear his word and get his will for your life, you'll be surprised how much your life starts transforming. That was really like the pivotal moment in my life when I stopped just going to God when I was in a crisis or when I needed something, and I started going to him just to hear what he had to say. That's when he was like, let me show you the true nature of your heart, right? And he started working on me. I started becoming a better person. My relationships started getting better. My communication started getting better. My discipline started getting better. I started working out more consistently, eating better, putting on more healthy weight, right? My habits started changing, all because I just said, let me chill on what I think what is best for my life, and coming to you with that, and let me just see what you have to say. The fourth reason is you are going to be grounded in something unshakable and unmovable. Like, you are going to have a confidence that is absolutely insane, right? Because you are essentially building your life on the rock that is Christ, right? On a solid foundation. Let me explain this. If you look to anything else as the source of your confidence, as the source of your self-esteem, anything outside of God, understand that it will move, it will shake, it will be unsteady, right? For example, if you base your confidence and your self-esteem in how you look, let's say you look pretty now. What if, God forbid, something happens and your face gets messed up? Are you going to completely hate yourself and hate your life and feel like it's the end of the world for you? Possibly so, right? Because that was your foundation, your looks, and now you don't have your looks, right? What happens when you get older and your body starts to change and you get different? Now it's like you don't recognize the person and you're unable to love this newer version of yourself because you are so attached to a specific look, right? That is not steady. That is not a solid foundation to base your confidence and your self-esteem and your worth. Or let's say you base it in money and career and job security. What happens if you lose your job? You will essentially crash out, right? I think I talked about this on like one of my early episodes when I left my first big girl job out of school in Big Four consulting. Because I had worked so much for that, because the prestige of the company kind of carried my career and made me look very respectable and like I had my life put together. Even though I wasn't happy at that job, I stayed there way longer than I wanted to because I had attached my identity and my confidence and my self-worth and how I saw myself to that job. I had attached it to finance. I had attached it to the reputation and the credibility of that firm because it was a prestigious firm. So it was very hard for me to leave, even though I knew it was time for me to go. I struggled to leave that job because I made my entire self-worth and identity and everything about the success of my career. I poured myself into my career. I sacrificed so much for it. I worked so hard for it. I worked countless hours to pay for school. I had so much struggle and attachment to how much effort I put into to have that career and have that job. And when I got there and I realized it wasn't what I wanted, I literally almost crashed and burned practically because I was like, if I worked so hard for this and now I'm here and I don't want this, what now? You know? So that's why you cannot put your self-worth and your confidence and esteem in like your career or even money. What happens when it fluctuates and maybe there's a recession or you don't like business goes south? Are you going to lose your life and spiral because of something so temporary? When you put your confidence and your self-worth and your value in anything that is outside of you, anything that is unstable, anything that varies, that withers, that is trendy, that goes up and down, that's this thing today and another thing one day, you are basing your entire identity on something that is unstable, right? And you are going to be unstable. You're going to be up and down with that thing. That is not a sustainable way to build your life, okay? And I'm speaking from experience, okay? Because when God came and snatched me, one of the first things that he went for, right, on his list of priorities was coming for the source of my identity, the source of my value and my self-esteem and my worth. I had attached it too much to accounting and finance, and he was like, I'm calling you away from that. And I literally, like, man, it was so hard for me to leave that job. It was so hard for me to leave that job because of that. Okay, so that's why I'm sharing this with you. You have to create you have to have your identity and your foundation and your self-esteem and your value lie in who God says you are, right? That has to be based on the revelation of God that you have, the word that he has spoken on your life, whatever he has told you about yourself. That has to be where your faith lies, in who you are, not in trends, not in money, not in a title, not in a job, not in your bank account, not in your closet and your wardrobe and how many expensive things that you have. You have to find your self-worth in your identity in Christ, because that is one thing that will never change. That is one thing that cannot be contested. When you base your identity in the truth, it doesn't matter what's happening around you. It doesn't matter what your bank account looks like. It doesn't matter what people say about you. Because if God be for you, who can be against you? You see what I mean? So that's a fourth reason why essentially your foundation should be in God, right? When you're working on your self-improvement, best version of yourself, blah, 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 make sure anytime you think about your identity, your confidence, your self-worth, it has to be grounded in who God says you are. It has to be grounded in a revelation that you have of God, in an encounter that you've had of God, in the experiences and the memories that you have of how God has worked in your life and moved in your life. Okay? And the fifth and final reason is that He knows the intentions of the people around you. Sometimes, you just never really know who is for you and who is against you. You never know. You never know. I've had situations in my life pre-God, right? Pre-surrendered life, right? Back in my real lukewarm days, like fresh babe in Christ, right? So I didn't really know him like that. We weren't really talking like that. Okay, back then he was the crisis hotline. Okay, so when things were going really bad, that's when I knew him. He didn't really have a say in my life, if you will. So back then, in that time in my life, I had so many situations where people just moved so shady, so sideways in my life. And I was bamboozled each and every time, because my thing is personally, as somebody who essentially kind of wears their emotions on their sleeves, like I'm not going to crash out or anything like that in public. I can hold my composure, but what I mean by that is, if I don't like a person, or if I don't want to be friends with a person, or if I don't like, if I feel like, if I just know that we are not meant to be friends, or I don't like you, or whatever, I cannot fake it. I cannot see you and smile in your face. I cannot see you and like pretend to be like your best friend and knowing that I hate your guts, right? I cannot do it. Like, I can be cordial, I can be respectful and everything, I acknowledge your presence, blah, blah, blah. I can be mature, but I will not be your friend if I don't want to be your friend for whatever reason, right? Because I know I cannot do that. It's beyond me how somebody can do it. Like, I just cannot fathom it, right? Because I'm unable to do it. However, I have been on the receiving end of that a few times, before I was close to God, where I had friends who I did not realize hated my guts. Now, mind you, they were we were the best of friends to my face, but behind my back, I was the worst person alive, right? Saying things about me that were literally not true, because I don't even want to say the reason, because it's just so childish. It's not something I did. It's some foolishness. Like, how could you hate somebody for that, right? I really want y'all to know that it wasn't I would be the first person to take accountability and said I did something to upset you or deserve this. But it was simply because you felt, Lord, I'll just say it. And I'm quoting what was said to me, right? I've had people, the person I'm thinking about treated me this way because they said, and I quote, I stole the male attention away from them, right? So because I don't think like that, I could not possibly fathom how somebody could feel that way and then hate me for it, but then be like best friends with me to my face, but then say things about me in rooms where I was liked, so that they could try to change other people's perception of me, right? Very interesting situation to be a part of. Trust me, it's a very interesting thing to be on the receiving end of. Like I didn't even. I thought I actually when I found out I actually defended her and thought the person telling me this was lying, but it turns out it was true. And I've had situations like that in my life. I've had situations where people were nice to my face and then they literally did not like me whatsoever. And it made me a very reserved person, like just being very mindful of who I open up to and how much I open up to certain people when I see certain signs and things like that. And when I came to God, I I had to give that to him. That was one of the things I had to give to him. I said, God, I've been in situations where there have been times when people hated me and I did not see it. I did not see it because they pretended to be so nice to my face. They were so friendly to my face. And I don't want to feel like I cannot open up to anybody again because I've been betrayed in that way. But at the same time, I want to give that to you because I don't want to have a calloused heart and just be paranoid like that towards people who don't deserve it. So I had to give that to God. And since I started doing that, let me tell you, one thing I will do is give somebody up in prayer to God. And what I mean by that is I will say, Lord, I present this person before you. Are they a friend or a foe? And it's not just in terms of friendships, it's in terms of like any types of relationship. Anybody who tries to come into my life now, I've surrendered that area to God where I'm like, God, please remove anybody that is not meant to stay in my life. And there have been times where people have reached out to me and, certain DMs or whatever. And before I even respond, I will pray the prayer and I will say, Lord, should I even respond? Is this your will for my life? Do you want this person in my life? And when God says, no, sweetheart, I'm not responding. I'm not responding. If I respond, it's to shut it down. Because the old me who did not give that part of my life to God would have tried to see for myself, would have tried to sort it out, would have seen it as, just nothing, right? Would have seen what was there, would have given people the benefit of the doubt and such and such. But now I give it to God. And let me tell you, God does not hesitate to show me who is for me and who is not. He does not hesitate. The good thing about that too is it's not just about him revealing to me when people are wrong. He also reveals to me when I'm wrong about people, right? There have been times when my paranoia or trust issues around relationships have caused me to look at people a certain way and be skeptical about them. And when I gave it to God, God was like, this is a you problem. God was like, this is a you problem. Yeah, this is a you problem. You are not showing my love right now. You are not exhibiting my love according to First Corinthians chapter 13 verse 4. You're not exhibiting that love. You are keeping a record of wrongs against this person. Do I hold your wrongs against you? Okay, so don't keep their wrongs against them. Like, let me tell you, God will check me and then he will also check me about other people. You see what I mean? So that's an area of my life that I have learned to surrender to him too. And the reason why I even bring up relationships as it comes to becoming the best version of yourself is because there are some people in your life who don't need to be there. Okay? There are some people in your life who, as you are working on growing in your relationship with God and being a better version of yourself, there are some people who will naturally fall to the wayside because when God starts helping you mature spiritually and in general, you are just going to lose taste for all of the things that y'all have in common. And that relationship is going to have to depart, right? It's going to have to fall to the wayside. It's not going to be able to go with you where God is calling you. And sometimes we are afraid to let go of relationships based on tenure, right? Based on how long you've known that person, based on memories y'all have shared in the past. But just because you have relationships with people that you've known for a long time and you have all these memories, that doesn't mean that they are meant to go with you where God is calling you, right? Where God is sending you, He is going to put people in your life who belong there, who will help you steward that season of your life, who will support you, and who will also encourage you, who will not be intimidated by you, okay? Who will not be intimidated by you, who will not see your success as a threat, who will not see your success as competition, who will not see you glowing up and becoming a better version of yourself as an insult to them, as an offense to them, right? They will not take it. God is going to send you people who can help you steward and who will support you in that next season of your life. And so when you think about becoming the best version of yourself and changing your life, when you think about, this path of your personal journey to self-improvement and all of that, I want you to keep in mind that one of the areas that God can also help you is with the people in your life, because not everybody who is there is meant to stay there. So these are the top 5 reasons why I would recommend that you make God the top priority on your path to becoming the best version of yourself, on your path to doing everything that he has called you to do. Don't just confine him to some areas of your life and leave him out of some. Because I'm telling you, the little areas that I thought I can handle that on my own, I don't really need God for that. When I invited him into it, he was like, no, ma'am, this is not a productivity issue. This is a fear issue. You don't fully trust what I have called you to do. That's why you're struggling to post and be consistent, right? This is deeper than lack of productivity. This is deeper than procrastination, right? Revealing all of these things to me in areas that I thought were little, in areas that I thought that I just needed to watch a quick little 10 tips on how to get things done video. He was like, yeah, no, there's deeper stuff to why you struggle with this. I would highly recommend that you invite God into all of it, and let him lead it. Okay? Don't invite him and then you have your plan and it's like, all right, God, sign off on this, sign off on that. No. Ask him, God, how can I improve? He will give you a tailored plan for what you need, okay? And just prepare to be humbled. Just prepare to be humble, because I'm telling you, he will reveal things to you that's going to just hit you like whiplash. You'll just be like, God, not me. Me, that's not me. You're not talking about me. No, you're not talking about me. He's 100% talking about you, okay? You need help. You need some work, but he will help you. He will help you and he will work on you, okay? So that is all I have to say today, and I will talk to you next Sunday.